Hey everybody, Sneaky Narcotic, back at it again with another YouTube video, and today we're going to go over some more Throne of Eldraine spoilers. Before we get into the video, guys, let me please ask y'all to like, share, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and I would greatly appreciate it. Before we go into the actual spoilers of the video, I'd like to tell y'all how I look at the cards. First, I look at him through the eyes of Commander, then I look at him through the eyes of Historic, then Standard, then Brawl. And because this set is based off of Arthurian lore and different folktales, I base it off the art. And this set is really beautiful, guys. If this is the first video, please go back, look at the other videos. But, yeah, the art it's gorgeous, especially today. Without further ado, guys, let's get into our first spoiler card of the day, starting with Clockwork Servant. It is a 3 generic artifact creature, gnome. It's a gnome. That's interesting. It is a uncommon. It has adamant. When Clockwork Servant enters the battlefield, if at least 3 mana of the same color was spent to cast it, draw a card. Some are annoyed by the constant ticking as they clean the cobbles, but to the castle custodians there's no sweeter sound, and it is a 2/3. So this is a pretty cool artifact for one, something that looks like it would see decent play, not necessarily in Standard, Historic, or Commander, not even maybe even Brawl, but in Sealed, this looks like a card that you would want to see in your Sealed and you would want to draft in your draft. Because if you're going to play anything close to a monocolored deck, well, this is a 2/3 for 3 that draws you a card. And that's pretty good for an uncommon slot. As far as the art, that's really cool. Like, I like how they were able to contour the creature to actually have more than just a shell of wood. It actually has carvings, and it almost looks like a doorknob. I don't even know where the clockwork part is. Maybe that's just them referring to the gears inside of the gnome, but it looks pretty cool. I like it. Next card. So this one is a very interesting card. Let's read it first. Fires of Invention. 3 generic, 1 red, enchantment rare. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. Just tell us how many you want and get out of the way. So, the reason why this card is so interesting is that it's playing spells for free. It's comparable to Omniscience in the sense. It's comparable to, I'm trying to think of any other card that lets you play. It's like a kind of a mix between Omniscience and oh man, God, I can't think of the name of the card. It's on the tip of my tongue. But it's a red card in Standard right now. That's an enchantment that says you can only play the top card of your library, and then you can destroy this card if man, I can't think of it right now. It's killing me. But the downside to being able to play basically cards for free, because if you play this late enough in Commander, let's stick to Commander format for just a second here. You stick to the Commander format and you play this late enough, it can mean that you can play some big spells. You can play 2 big spells a turn. Now, granted, it has to be on your turn, but you're not spending your mana for anything. So here's my thought process with this. You get cards that have mana abilities on it. And by mana abilities, I mean like cards that say level up, or cards that say, trying to think of another one. Pay this much mana, tap this card, and something happens. You get cards like that, and now you have something to do with your mana because you're not even touching it when Fires of Invention comes out. And that's just really good to me. I think the only combo I can really think of right now off the top of my head that would work really well is Lighthouse Chronologist. Lighthouse Chronologist is a card that has a level up. I forget how many times you have to level it up, but once you level it all the way up, it says that it gets an ability that says every single time a turn ends that is not your turn, you take a turn. So in Commander, that's you take a turn, then your opponent takes a turn, and then after that opponent's turn, you take a turn, and after your turn is the next opponent's turn, and then your turn, and then the next opponent's turn, and then your turn, then your turn. So it's a really good combo because then you basically get to go around the board with your with this card not having too much of a downfall. They will try to, in Commander, they will try to hate this card out pretty quickly with some type of enchantment hate, but enchantment hate is hard to find nowadays, which is kind of good. So I think as far as Commander, is a really good card. As far as Historic and Standard, the reasons I don't think as much in Historic or Standard is because right now I can't think of good payoff cards for this. There's not a big spell that just wins you the game. Like, in Historic, maybe there's, Zeltapa, but in Standard, I just don't see it really doing anything. So there's that. Now, Brawl, it might prove itself in Brawl. Just like in the Commander format, you get to the late game, especially Brawl, multiplayer and not 1v1, you get to the late game and you're sitting there with some random combo that just works. And I could imagine that happens with Fires of Invention. It's an interesting card. I hope to build around it a little bit. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Tall as a Beanstalk. This is a pretty cool card. 3 generic, 1 green enchantment, or common. Enchanting creature gets +3/+3, has reach, and is a giant in addition to its other types. The reason I said this is such a cool card is because of its art, not necessarily what the card says. So, the art on this is from Jack and the Beanstalk, but the funny part is that it's the Beanstalk fighting the giant, not going all the way up to the clouds where the giants live. No, it's fighting the giant. So this is really a cool thing. He realized a bit late that he was supposed to plant the magic beans. Oh, this makes more sense. He ate the magic beans. So let's get into the card. Enchanting creature gives +3/+3 and has reach. The giant stuff doesn't really matter right now. The +3/+3 in reach for 4 mana, it's okay. It's really good for a common, and Pauper will probably see play, so that way Pauper isn't rolled by flyers. But whenever I come across a common card, I always want more. You know, you're always going to want more with a common card. That's why they're common. So I'll leave it at that. Continuing on with the Jack and the Beanstalk story, here is the Bartered Cow. 3 generic, 1 white mana, creature ox, common. When Bartered Cow dies, or when you discard it, create a food token. It's an artifact with pay 2 generic mana, tap it, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. At the market, no one heeded Hilda's frantic mooing. The Fey curse was turning out even worse than she had feared. Oh, I didn't realize that Hilda was a human. Oh, that's so sad. I do love how when the cow dies, it turns into food. I do love that it gives you the option not the option to discard it, but the option that when you discard it, it makes a food. So sorry guys, I'm recording this a little late, so I'm trying to hold back my tired tears here. In Sealed, possibly could see playing some white-green food deck. I could see it. Nowhere else, though. Not really. Giant Opportunity. Now, this is another card I think we'll see play in the food deck, in the food green, mono green tribal. So 2 generic, 1 green, sorcery, uncommon. You may sacrifice 2 foods. If you do, create a 7/7 green giant creature token. Otherwise, create 3 food tokens. They look tasty, but best to plant them, as you can see from the Beanstalk. So, the reason I like this card is because it gives you the option to either make a 7/7 giant for 3 mana, and sacrificing 2 foods, but I mean, whatever. Or you get 3 food. And the reason why it's good to have 3 food is because the Troll King can come back for 3 food. And I really think the Troll King is, if you haven't seen that card, go back and check out my video with the Troll King in it. That card's gonna be really good. It's a recurring card because of food, and so that's kind of just gonna be the top end of the food mono green food tribal deck, in my opinion. And that's why I like this card. It gives you the option. Love cards with options. As far as Commander, I still don't think food is gonna be viable enough to be in Commander. Standard, Historic, and Brawl, definitely. If there's any type of food deck's going to hold up in either one of those, this card will probably be in it, because it basically says per 1 mana, get a food token. So, definitely. And again, Jack the Beanstalk. Tobran, Thane of Redfell. Now, I wish I could say this card was a dwarf, but like one of the 7 dwarfs, but I don't think it is, to be honest. So, 1 generic, 3 red mana. You have to be playing mono red, I feel. Legendary creature, dwarf, noble, rare. If a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent, or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage, +2 instead, and it is a 2/4. Now, the reason I'm kind of disappointed in this card is because it's a legendary creature. Like, if you're going to do +2 damage instead, put it on a normal creature. Or, instead of that, put it does double damage. Now, we already have cards in Commander that do that, the double damage. But it would be nice to have the opportunity in Standard and in Brawl and Historic to be able to do that. Now, I feel like that would kind of overpower mono red, but still, it'd be worth it in my opinion. Now, as far as this card is, you think 2 damage isn't going to do anything, but my friend mentioned this today. It turns a shock into a lava coil. It turns a lightning strike into, I think, a lava axe, and it turns a lava coil into something else. It makes things ridiculously more efficient. And mono red already is efficient. So as far as like a top end, it's really not that bad. It's a 2/4 creature. That's a very nice for mono red and 4 mana. So I can see it as like somewhat top end to a mono red what's the word? Mono red burn deck. But I don't know about this card. So standard, modern, not modern. Standard, historic, and Brawl, probably would be a decent Brawl commander for some reason. I just feel it would be a decent Brawl commander, but not commander. Drown in the Loch. 1 blue, 1 black, instant, uncommon. Choose 1. Counter target spell with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's hand, in controller's graveyard. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. So, this card, it's going to be really cool if you're trying to build any type of blue and black mill deck. And that's more prevalent than you would think it is. In Standard, it might end up being a thing, especially now with a little bit of a control source and this Drown in the Loch. Brawl, Commander, and Standard actually will probably have a blue and black mill deck. Now, as far as Brawl, I just don't feel like there will be enough support in Brawl to have the Dimir mill deck. And I wouldn't even know what Commander would go with it, to be honest with you. But I think possibly, if there is one, it won't be as good, but possibly. So, yes all the way down. I'll just say yes all the way down. And in fact, might even be a decent card to do it with sealed. Because it just gets better the later in the game. Now, I don't know if this card is honestly worth a 4 of in anything, but it does get very decently better the later in the game you go. So, very interesting card design here. I like it. Lonesome Unicorn. 4 generic, 1 white creature. God, you can't almost see the unicorn through this contrast. Creature unicorn common. Rider in Reed. Rider in jeez, I can't. Rider in Feed? I don't know. 2 generic, 1 white sorcery adventure. Create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Yay! I always wanted a white knight. And then you get a 3/3 with vigilance for 5 mana. This card, I don't really see it happening. I kind of wish the unicorn had, like, yeah, vigilance is cool, but like lifelink or double strike or first strike because of his horn. I don't know, but something. I don't think this card will see play. I don't even think it's really that good and sealed. So just I don't feel good about this card. Silverflame Squire. 1 white, 1 generic creature, human soldier, common. Out on alert, instant adventure. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Untap it. That's pretty decent, I think. And then, of course, it's a 2/1 for 2. So, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn and untap it. There's a card, I think it's called Stony Defense. I'm not positive on that. But it's a card that I've been using in Standard when I build some types of mono green decks, because it gives +1/+1 and untaps your creature. That makes it all of a sudden a blocker. You know, you tap out your creature to deal some damage to an opponent. He's like, well, I guess I'll try to deal some damage to you. Well, joke's on you. I gave him false vigilance, so there you go. So possibly could see play. Granted, the one I'm talking about is like 1 green mana compared to your 3 white, or 2 generic, 1 white. So, maybe not. I don't know. I would like to mention it's a human, and sometimes humans see play. I also would like to mention that the card art on it looks really good. I don't know why, but it does. It just looks really good. Like, that facial texture just looks really good, and the hair is like spot on. So I love the art here. Love the art. Tuinvale Treefolk. 5 generic, 1 green creature, Treefolk Druid. It is a common. Oaken Boon. 3 generic, 1 green sorcery adventure. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. And then, of course, it is a 6/5 for 6. Might see play in Pauper. You know, being able to use it as a top end, as well as being able to use it, period, to boost some of your early on creatures. I can see it. But I just don't see it past Pauper, to be honest. It's kind of a lot of mana for not much. Yeah. Garenbrig Squire. 1 generic, 1 green creature, human soldier, common. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, Garenbrig Squire gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And then it is a 2/2. So I think this card would be worth it if you're building an adventure deck in Sealed. Maybe even in Pauper. As far as, like, the rest, I just don't see it. Find him a weapon as big as his dreams. Yorvo, Lord of Garenbrig. That's hilarious, because Yorvo's a little later. But it's a 2/2 for 2, so that's not bad. It's a human soldier, human, again. I think it's +1/+1 whenever you play an adventure. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure. So, yeah. Maybe. Maybe. Ardenvale Paladin. That one looks oddly feminine here. 3 generic, 1 white, creature, human, knight. Almost looks like she has a veil. That's why I say that. It's a common. It has adamant. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast a spell, Ardenvale Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So it becomes a 3/5 instead of a 2/5. Even when hope is but a small flame fighting the night, I will serve the absent king. Oh man, guys, if y'all haven't read the story or listened to it, I listened to it halfway through. I'm trying to get on the other half tonight, but it's a really good story. Like, the king is absent. He's disappeared. And so, it's pretty interesting. Anyways, continuing on, this card possibly unsealed, just because it can end up being a 4-mana 3/5. That's pretty good. I wish it had, like, some sort of vigilance. I always wish knights have vigilance. I don't know why, but I do. So, yeah. I swear there's more cards than commons here. Here we go. Rally for the Throne. 2 generic, 1 white, instant, uncommon. Create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens, and it has Adamant. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast this spell, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. If you're as loyal as you claim, now is the time to show it. Queen Linden of Ardenvale. So, this card, honestly, can see play all the way down in some type of mono-white token build. And I don't know if there is one in Standard. I don't know if there is one in Brawl. There's possibly one in Historic. There's also the mono-white, I guess, Weenie deck that this would go good in. Because either way, if you cast it for 3 mana, you get your 2 white 1/1 white human creature tokens. But then you gain life for each creature you control, which is worth it when you look at mono red still being a thing in Historic. So, yeah, possibly. Linden, the Steadfast Queen. 3 white mana. You have to be playing mono white for this, I swear. Legendary creature, human noble, rare, vigilance. 3/3 for 3 for vigilance. Whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Well, that seems fair. Until my last breath, I would defend the realm. So, I wish there was more of a payoff, or she had a better, I don't know, like, I again wish she had first strike for some reason, because just the being a 3/3 for 3 and then allowing your white creatures to gain you 1 life per attacking creature, that's just okay in my opinion. That doesn't really, it's not commanderable unless you're building a mono white token build. So all the way down again, mono white token build. I guess. Forever Young, 1 generic, 1 black. Oh, by the way, if you watched the art previews that I did when these arts first came out, I thought this might have been Arthur, but it's not. It's just the Queen of the Missing King. So it's pretty interesting that even the Queen. Well, actually, again going to the story. Spoiler alert. She is a knight of 4 of the 5 realms. So. It's not that interesting to see her holding a sword and actually trying to fight. I do wish that since she is a knight of 4 of the 5 realms, that she would at least, like, do something more colorful than gain life. I don't know. Going back to Forever Young, 1 generic, 1 black, sorcery, common. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library, then draw a card. Those who say you only live once have never been touched by the Cauldron of Eternity. And I believe there was, like, there's always some type of folklore about the Fountain of Youth, the Holy Grail, and the Cauldron of Eternity, and as it looks here. So possibly could be some homage to that. As far as this card, all the way down I see play. Brawl, Commander, Standard, Popper, anything, honestly, because it's put any number of target creature cards, so it's graveyard recursion back into your library, sure, but it lets you get those cards back into your library, and then draw a card. And then you don't even have to shuffle your library, you put it on top of your library, meaning you can put them back in any order on top of your library. The card you draw is the card you know, so that's pretty good. I like that card. Sire Alin, the Lion's Claw. 3 generic, 2 white, legendary creature, human knight. It is a uncommon. Has first strike. Hey, look, a knight with first strike. Whenever Sire Alin, the Lion's Claw, attacks other creatures you control, get +1/+1 until end of turn. That doesn't seem worth it to me, to be honest. It just doesn't seem worth it, because he's not even it's not like he boosts himself any. The realm must never yield to the chaos of the wilds. Okay. So, I just, all the way down, no. At the 5 mana, 4/4 first strike, and yeah, you boost your morale here, but, no. Blacklance Paragon, 1 generic, 1 black mana, creature, human, knight, and it is a rare. It has flash. When Blacklance Paragon enters the battlefield, target knight gains Death Touch and lifelink until end of turn. And then it's a 3/1. The Black Lances travel deep into the wilds, sometimes for years at a time, in search of the lost Cauldron of Eternity. So, I don't know, honestly, if this card is worth the rare. It can target itself. It can be a viable blocker. And it gains you 3 life and Death Touch, that's pretty good. I don't like it, because it seems like a one-shot, Oh, my son woke up. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Like I said, recording this late at night. Sometimes, you just kinda gotta deal with it. But, it seems like a one-shot to me, So, let's get on with the next card. The Cauldron of Eternity. This card actually will see some play. So, it's 10 generic mana, 2 black mana. That's a lot. Let's all agree that's a lot of CMC there. But it's a legendary artifact, mythic rare. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. Pay 2 generic mana and a black, tap it, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only any time you could cast a sorcery. Now, the only problem I hate about this card is that it doesn't support itself. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. That's dumb. Because then, what's the ability for it? Pay 2 generic and a black, tap it, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only time you can control. You could cast a sorcery. So the reason I don't like this is it doesn't support itself. The only way this could see play, in my opinion, in standard and all the way down is just being able to put cards from your library into the graveyard. That being said, we do have a good way of doing that in standard and historic, and that's Tuinvale. Tuinvale would be very good with this. At pay 2 life, so you're going to want to make sure that you have some sort of semblance of lifelink. But yeah, honestly, again, I do see it played all the way down, even though it doesn't, what's the word? Synergize with itself, So yeah. Overwhelmed Apprentice. 1 blue mana, creature, human, wizard, uncommon. When Overwhelmed Apprentice enters the battlefield, bless you, enters the battlefield, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you scry 2. So, each opponent puts the top 2. It's a mill card. That's interesting. Like I said, mono with the Drown in the Loch card, blue and black mill might make a comeback. And I quite honestly am okay with that. Mill is a secret love passion of mine. We have a hate-love relationship because I hate playing against it, but love playing with it. So yeah, possibly a 1/2 that also lets you scry, but also mills your opponent's cards. Sure, for 1 mana. I like that. It will see play. It will see play in standard, probably historic. Not anywhere else. That's just my idea. Sorcerer's Broom, 2 generic mana, artifact creature spirit. An artifact creature spirit. Does that make sense to anybody? It's an uncommon. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you may pay 3 generic mana. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Sorcerer's Broom. I don't know about this card, man. I really don't. Renaud wished for an army to sweep away his enemy. The Fey King smiled beyond the Great Hinge. It's a 2/1. So that's interesting. I love that ability. I wish it was on something else. That's all I'm saying. But who knows? Cauldron's Gift. 4 generic mana and a black. Sorcery uncommon. Adamant. If at least 3 black mana was spent to cast this spell, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. You may choose a creature card in your graveyard. If you do, return it to the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So this is kind of like a Bond of Revival, but instead of it getting haste, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. So honestly, I'd rather just play Bond of Revival. I feel like it's just about the same amount of mana. Maybe potentially it's in the Drakuseth deck as a just alternate. Bond of Revival. You know, that's what I see it as. Okay. Archon of Absolution. It's a flying creature Archon, uncommon. Protection from white. Okay, a white card with protection from white, sure. Oh, creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 for each creature. So, what's really cool about this is that it gives us the opportunity to build the prison decks back. And the prison decks, if you don't remember, they basically... Some people call them hate bearers, but it's just a deck that you build to basically slow down the game for your opponent. And if you play copy creatures and copy this card a lot, well, they're having to pay like 2, 3, 4 mana for each creature they want to attack with. That's pretty good, especially against a token build. So in Standard and Historic, I definitely see it. Probably not Brawl, probably not Commander, but maybe in Commander too, because we do have a lot of copy creature spells, you know, at our arsenal. So, possibly. Yorvo, Lord del Coto de Garen. I guess Lord High de Garen. But anyways, it's a creature, legendary, noble giant. Enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever a green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Yorvo. Then, if the creature's power is greater than Yorvo's power, put another +1/+1 counter on Yorvo. So, mono green looking like it might be good. I'm almost done, buddy. Almost done. Mono green looking like it will probably be good for 3 green mana. This is way better than the 3 white mana legendary creature. So, I definitely think you'll see play Brawl, possibly Commander, but not as the Commander. Historic and Standard, just because there's going to be ways to just play a bunch of green creatures. This could be in some random elf ball deck as the only non-random elf in it, you know? So, without further ado, guys, that's the end of the video. So, thank y'all for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Sorry for my son, you know, sometimes you just gotta watch the kid, guys. You just gotta watch the kid, but you also gotta get that video out there. I will leave y'all with this, though. Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic the Gathering, is the great-great-grandson of U.S. President James A. Garfield, and his great-uncle invented the paper clip. That was a pretty neat fact I found out today while scouring the internet. But anyways, guys, thank y'all for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. This is Sneaky Narcotic, signing off.